right, and welcome to another edition of Girls Talk 9.0, where we candidly talk about the movie pick of the week, horror movie pick of the week, and occasionally the topic du jour. Today, we're going to talk about the 2024 horror film, A Quiet Place, Day One, directed by Michael Sinowski. My name is Whaley Hollow, and my partners in crime with me are the notorious note taker, Nanya. And we have the sensational Sunchild. Ladies, can you believe the year is almost over?
No,
I
no.
mean,
I feel like we have been on a treadmill sprinting for the last 10 years of our lives. If
true,
longer than that, but it just goes faster
true.
and faster. I mean,
It's so
it's
scary.
2025. How on earth?
Yeah.
It's so scary. And all the things I thought that would have been true in 2025, right? That it just have not come to fruition. So I don't know what 2035 is going to look like, but I'm sure whatever I'm thinking today is probably not going to happen.
Same. I've been wrong since uh, I thought by now that we would be living in the Jetsons times. I thought we'd
Exactly.
have a little backpack and I could hover.
Yes.
We would have all that kind of stuff, but we don't have any of it.
None of
And
it. None of it. We're
We were
still
lied
walking.
to. We
We're
still
still
walking.
walking.
Still walking.
Yes, indeed.
still walking. Yes.
Still walking.
Yeah.
No
Yeah.
moving sidewalks, nothing.
Oh, we
Nothing.
do have moving sidewalks.
Outside?
No, no.
Oh,
At the airport, but
Yeah.
yeah.
That's
yeah,
Oh no,
true.
you can't walk out your door and jump on that little moving sidewalk to take you where
That's what I want to do.
yeah. Yes. I want to do that. See, the airport is like a flat escalator. That's all. It's
Yeah,
not.
exactly.
It's
Exactly.
it just
not.
goes everywhere throughout the city. Yeah, no, we got none of that stuff.
None of
Then
it.
we got TikTok. That was the future we didn't imagine. And it's here.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
Just-
Anyway, so what is this movie about? This movie is about a terminally ill cancer patient whose goal is to find a pizza parlor that brings back nostalgia for her as a child in the backdrop of an alien invasion. And so we find ourselves journeying with, I don't know her name in the movie. I know it's Lupita, but what is her name in the film?
see. Uh,
Oh, God, girls, we're
I,
back. I usually write it down. This time I was trying to watch the other one and then this one, and I can't remember her name, but
Did they even say her name? Honestly, I didn't know, and
they
I don't know
did
that
a
I
couple
cared.
of times. Was it Sam? I want to call her Sam. Remember
Sam.
she,
It was Sam.
okay, okay. Yeah. So we follow Sam on her journey. And basically that's it in a nutshell. So I'll give my views first. I actually like this one. I liked it much better than the first two. And I really don't know why. I mean, I think the acting was good across the board in all of them, but something about this one just, I think they did such a phenomenal job with the cinematography, the acting, the special effects, I will say though, this to me, this is not my type of horror film. I didn't think, this is more it's not even thriller. I don't know what to call it, but this is not typically my type of horror genre, but I really enjoyed the film. I thought they did a phenomenal job. I thought the dialogue was sufficient. It wasn't overboard, and but there are some things that probably a little unrealistic, but it's a movie. So I actually did enjoy it.
Lupita made the movie. I really do think that she did. She is a phenomenal actress, and it's not typically my type of movie. Of course, I did go see it because I love to go to the movies, and that's what I do. The first one, I was not a fan of at all. It was nothing like enigmatic. Like I can't even really recall like what went on. But this one I do remember, and it was, I think, the special effects, the cinematography, their chemistry was quite amazing, and they did
Mhm.
end up having a real life
Yeah,
relationship afterwards, and it kind of,
yeah.
through in that movie that they had a lot of chemistry. I don't even really know who that actor is. I mean, what's his name? Oh God, I'm awful with names. I'm the worst. What's his real name?
I just know it was Eric in the film.
Right, right. Okay, so I don't know what else he played in, but I will remember him now from this movie. Their chemistry together was definitely something to be remembered, and it carried through that they would have a real life relationship. Well, that's what you hope when you see two people in a movie that have this real life chemistry for you. I did love the special effects.
It's good. Daniel, what do you think?
So I definitely did not like one or two. And the reason I didn't like either of them was because I just didn't particularly find them scary. So I'm judging this in the genre that it presents itself, which is horror. And to me, none of them had any horror elements to
No.
it that I liked. So so I was unmoved by this movie. I was bored by this movie, but I feel kind of bad because I do agree that the acting was spectacular. I thought the cinematography was also very good. I thought the production value was very high. It felt like a very well made, efficient film. It was, I thought the direction, all of that was great.
Yeah.
It just, and I think Whaley alluded to this. To me, it felt more of like a natural disaster movie. It reminded me of like Earthquake or Twister or something. It might as well have been a tornado, a
Exactly.
tsunami. The aliens had no relevance to the film at all. I personally hated the CGI. I like the up close scenes of the aliens, but I don't know if that was CGI or those were actual like models, like special effect models. But once you got in a distance and there were many of them, it was too blurry. So when they were running, it was just a bunch of blur. And I just didn't, I wasn't moved by it. And I still can't believe in 2025, CGI is not getting better. I feel like it's not moved in a
It's the
decade. So
Jetsons all over again. Wait till 2035, maybe. Maybe it'll be
I
what you
think we
think
just
it.
got to jump into AI. We need to pass CGI
Yeah.
right into AI because I think we've gone as far as we can with the CGI. It just doesn't look realistic to me. But I think that's why I didn't particularly care for it. I just felt like it just felt like a natural disaster movie. I can't. It was with the mindset that I came in there. If I just turned on the TV and just thought I was watching a regular movie, I would have had a different reaction. But expectations are everything, and I just didn't find it to be particularly a horror movie. The other thing that I struggled with was I felt I could tell right from the beginning where they were going with the movie. They weren't subtle about it. I felt like they shoved it down our throats, and I don't like that in any movie. So those are the things I didn't like, but there were some good things. I thought that New York City, the dystopian New York City, was very visually appealing. I like that they did take an attempt at having like adding a spin to the movie, so A+ for effort. And the cat was adorable, but it just wasn't a movie for me.
Yeah. Okay. All right, well, let's start from the beginning, kind of work our way down. Um, so the opening scene, I thought, well, not necessarily the opening scene, but when the action first started, I thought they did a great job, right? Because they opened the scene with her, them in a circle, and she reads her poem about everything ain't shit, pretty much, which I thought was pretty funny when she kind of ragged on each of the people in her circle and talked about the place and cancer in general. But then they go to I the pretense was to go to a play. She thought it was a play. It was a marionette. I know they're called puppeteers, but what are marionettes called? Marionetteers? What are they called?
Oh,
I don't know either. Anyway, I think people who do marionettes are phenomenal. Like if he could actually get some of that stuff gets creepy. It's so good.
I was just about to say that was the scariest part of the movie. I was now if that puppet
Had
starts
come
to
to life.
talk or move, because when it was blowing up the balloon, I was like, oh, now it's getting good. Then it just never went anywhere. The puppet unfortunately disappeared, and that was the end of the story.
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, next movie, like the puppeteers come to life, the marionettes come to life.
Yeah, yeah. But that guy did a great job with it. And then they go outside and all of a sudden he's got to rush everyone on the bus and all of a sudden, the aliens attack and there's chaos. And I like it kind of reminds me of that movie. What's that movie we saw where the girl goes to Africa or something and the walls crumble and there's
It was
all this
the
smoke and
Exorcist. It was the Exorcist beginning.
that's it. Yeah, kind of remind me of that scene where she's in the midst of all the smoke, not the
Yep.
smoke, the dust from the buildings crumbling, and people
Yep.
are running by her. And I thought, wow, that's pretty. It was pretty intense. I did really like that scene.
Yep.
That's what I mean about the cinematography. I thought they did like a really good job, you know. keeping it simple, but really realistic because I
Yeah.
could feel like I would be shitting bricks if I was amongst dust. I can't see as is. And so it's already dusty and you got people running by you and yeah. So I thought they did a really good job with the opening scene. You guys
Mhm.
have any thoughts on?
I mean, I completely agree. I thought that that scene was very effective. I wouldn't call that quite the opening scene. The opening scene,
Right,
they were in the circle, but that the first
right.
time when there was some action, I agree. I thought it was very effective. It did remind me of World War. What was it called?
Z?
No, no, no.
No.
One with Tom Cruise. Uh,
War Z or something, wasn't it? Was it?
War of the Worlds, maybe. Is it called War of the
Oh,
Worlds?
I don't
that is
know.
a
I have to
movie.
look it
I
But
up.
can't
there's
think of
but
it.
we've seen a lot of movies where people are stuck in traffic in Manhattan. Like this
Oh
is not
yeah.
new.
Yeah, no, no,
And
no.
something happens, right? And I think World War Z was another one where you're stuck in traffic in Manhattan, suddenly there's an explosion, and it all makes sense because Manhattan is claustrophobic in and of itself. And if something's gonna happen, it's either the best place to be or the absolute worst. There's no in between. So I feel like the scene was familiar, but they were still effective. I mean, I thought when she couldn't see anything, I was thinking that has to be terrifying. It almost kind of gave me some post 9/11 moments there where I was
Yeah,
thinking, when the dust covered the city, but
yeah,
the panic that would set in made sense to me.
yeah,
So
yeah,
I thought
yeah.
it was still a good scene, even though I've seen it before.
You know, the interesting fact that they posted that I thought, oh my God, this is why I couldn't live in downtown New York for too long. They said the noise decibel is 9 or 90, I can't remember, but it's so loud that it is the sound of a constant scream. That's how loud the noise decibel is in New York City. And I thought to myself, can you imagine someone
But
screaming all day?
did they say that in the movie?
Yes, it was right on at the beginning of the movie. They had just this, I don't know, disclaimer, I don't know, it's not disclaimer, but this note that went across the screen. And I thought, wow, that sounds about right.
It does sound about right. And that's interesting that you
Yeah,
say that. And had I read it, I might have had a different feeling as I was watching the movie because it didn't really make sense to me. You know me, if something doesn't make sense, my brain just shuts off. But it didn't really make sense to me that the smallest sounds were causing them to react because I was thinking there's no silence, even in New York. For the next 48, 72 hours, alarms would have been going off, cell phones would have been going off, things break, they fall, the wind, the rain. There was just no way that you stepping on a piece of glass was going to attract them.
right,
There's just too much noise. So
right.
the whole time I'm watching this and I'm thinking, yeah, okay, I know we have to kill and I get it. We've seen the same scenes before. Everybody's tiptoeing and then somehow something falls. But I was like, they would not have heard that in New York City.
Yeah. Well, the thing I think that wrecked my brain was them being being near the fountain to feed the cat. I'm like, why doesn't the sound of water splashing attract them?
Right. And why
And
did the
It
cat
was
never
random.
meow?
The sounds were random. And imagine all the dogs barking.
Right, the cat didn't even meow. I was like,
I'm like, there's no way this cat's going to be quiet. This is
yeah,
just not happen. This is not happen.
especially when it was chasing the mouse. And come on,
Oh yeah,
gonna make
I
some
know.
noise.
And me,
Where's all the cell phones going on?
yeah, there would have been a lot
Yeah,
of. Are you okay? Beep.
yeah, yeah,
Car alarms. It's
yeah,
Oh, the car alarm.
all the alarms and all the buildings that were
yeah.
exploding. It would
Right.
have been so noisy.
Yeah.
Right.
And
Right.
the idea that it was quiet was just like, okay,
So I
I
think
have to
yeah, I
suspend
agree.
belief.
And I think maybe there was a gap that they could have put in the movie that brought us to that 90 decibels to zero.
Right.
It would have helped because then we would have been like, okay, all that other stuff is out of the way.
Yeah. And
All
we.
the dogs are gone, the Bronx Zoo is open, all the animals ran away. I get it, right? I
Right.
get it
Exactly.
now.
Yeah.
But to go from that, and it seemed like it was only a 2-day movie. Like I think they slept one day. So
I was wondering how long, like, was it just kind of like 24, 48 hours kind of thing?
yeah.
That was the impression I got.
Think so.
Yeah. And I only got that impression because they only showed one night, but it could have been a week, a month. I have no clue. The way it looked with all the destruction, you would have thought it was longer than, 24 hours, 48 hours. But
Sure.
Yeah.
and then
But
just think of all the number of people in New York City and how many people made it to the boat. What, 1,000?
Was it 1,000? Looked like about
I mean, I know
200
that's
people on
being
that boat.
generous.
It felt like 200 people on that boat.
Right.
That boat looked like the boats that come from Cuba to the US. it was over. I mean, it was, and I don't even mean that disrespectfully at all, but just over. It was teeming with people
Yeah,
falling off the sides, and I was thinking, yeah, you got one block, you got one floor of an apartment complex
Exactly.
on that boat.
it was like when they
Exactly.
were sailing
People
away
would
from
have been swimming, pulling that
Oh,
boat under
hell
the
yes.
water.
everyone jumping in the water and
Because as soon as
fighting.
the helicopters came across, the one thing they said was, get to the water, they can't swim. Okay, that's all I need to know. Everybody in the city would have been in the water.
In the water.
And
Even if you were in a mountain, I
everybody,
mean, you ran in water somewhere. If they can't swim, they can't swim. I mean, I did like when you could see them in the background, kind of blurry, when she was walking and the person walked past her and screamed or coughed or something, and you saw the thing swooping and get her. I
yeah.
liked when you didn't have like a clear view of them, the monsters. It was better when it was just like one and it was kind of like a quick blur. But yeah, you're right. When they showed them all, like, then it was just like a mass and it just all seemed like a blur. It was better when it kind of left it to your imagination exactly what they may have looked like. And you could just see like a shape of it.
Yeah,
The acting carried this movie. I would not put it in a horror genre.
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It was a natural disaster.
Right.
But the acting definitely carried it.
Oh,
It
carried.
was
Yeah.
amazing. That
Yeah.
guy, I was just gonna look him up because he
So
really
I want
deserves
to
his
know
props.
what the heck was he doing in the water? Like he must have heard the message that they're afraid of water and he went under the water, but it almost is like he was staying underwater and
Maybe
he
it
just
was
came
in,
up. Like I
I
couldn't.
thought he was in the subway or
He
something. And maybe
was. He
But
was
what
in
was
the
he doing in
subway.
the water? He was the only person in the subway in the water?
He might have been the only person to survive,
five,
or
yeah.
who came out of that particular
Yeah, or
subway
found the
stop.
way out. They might still be down there looking for the way out. But yeah, it
Hmm.
kind of floated up somehow.
I really liked him. He said he was a law student. I thought, okay, I get they can be any age, but you know, this is his second
Oh,
turn on life or something because he looked a
how
little
old did he
older.
look? I thought he looked early 30s, maybe. I don't know.
He looked a little older than that to me, but I don't know.
I mean, he was disheveled. He probably seen better days. You know what I mean? He was underwater. He was under sewer water. I mean, how good could he look?
True, true.
That might have aged him right there.
That
You know,
yeah would have aged me.
chemicals and whatnot.
Yep, definitely would have aged me. But yeah, I thought it was interesting that he came out of the water and the cat was there, and the cat kind of said, "Come on, bro," and he kind of followed the cat and met uh Sam. I'm gonna call Sam. I hope that's her name in the movie.
Yeah, yeah, surname. I think
Yeah.
That guy is 30 years old, so he probably was 29 when the movie was made.
Mm.
Yeah, so
Mm.
he is young.
Mm.
Um,
Okay.
oh, he's okay. Yeah, he did a phenomenal job. Has he been?
Yes, he did. Yes, he did with his Scottish accent. Sounded like Scottish anyway. But then he said his dad was from England, so I don't know.
Yeah, he was in Gladiator 2, which just came out, the new one, and then he was in Stranger Things in 2016.
Oh wow, he's been around.
Yeah,
He was really
Oh,
good
yeah,
though.
Stranger Things. I
And
don't
the
yeah,
know.
dynamics
he
to
deserves his
King Charles
props.
Point is really good.
Yeah, I like that. I mean, I you bring up one thing though that is so typical in these movies, which is, you know, if something's coming, if you're in New York and something's happening, you better think twice before ever going into the subway. Like that's just a no. Like you just crawled out of water to get to surface. Why are you at the first sight of them running back down into the subway? Like that's just a no.
Yeah,
That's just a no go. And I didn't understand why they went down there. And then it's like the sound down there is going to echo. So it's just the worst place in the planet. Not to mention, on a good day, you're not going down there. I mean, there's rats everywhere. When they jumped in the water, I thought to myself, "Oh, take me now!" Like I'm gonna throw myself in front of these things.
yeah.
I'm
Oof.
not going in that water.
Mm,
I
no,
will
It's
say
gross.
though, when they submerged, that church was beautiful. The remnants of that church, what a beautiful structure. And then when
Yes,
they came
yes.
out, yeah, it was just stunning. I was like, wow, that's
New
in
York
its
has some
heyday.
beautiful architecture,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
and it
Some
definitely has some beautiful churches.
Yeah,
very
some of the
beautiful.
buildings in New York, the older ones, are just they far outweigh this new contemporary design that they got going on, and it probably far out structurally. outweighs it. You know what I mean? Like more solid. I don't think back then they cut as many corners and came up with this like, fiberglass, not as sturdy equipment that material that probably costs a lot less to make back then. Those things were solid. The churches in Boston and in New York are beautiful architecturally.
So one of the things I think I said I watched because we originally were going to do two. So I watched two and then I watched day one and I said to myself, really in part, would there be a part two and three? Because you know in day one exactly how to not eradicate, but you definitely know how to get away from these things. And I'm sure you know how to eradicate them. It didn't take, 3 years, 474 days or whatever for you to figure it out. It's like, where have you been? Where have you been?
I don't know what the time difference, what the span of time was between this one and then the first one, if you will. But I was thinking that's one of the that's what you just said is one of the things that they put in these horror movies that always is
Yeah,
really annoying, which is
yeah,
they don't learn. And it's like the guy came out of the subway. He was smart, right? He wanted to distract them, so he threw something to cause commotion someplace else, and it
right,
works.
right,
And then they forget that. They forget
right,
that's a possibility.
right.
How do you like I said, how do you not learn from anything? And then she's running around hitting the with the crowbar, hitting the car windows, and I'm like,
That's next to her.
right.
Like,
I
throw that shit way, throw it across the bridge. What are you doing?
really was not that hard to create some distractions. I mean, the boat itself, could have. I mean, it was right when they were honking the horn on the boat, and then the monsters are just sitting on the sidelines looking at the boat, which was weird to me. I'm like, you could jump out of the sky. Surely you could jump 40 feet to that boat.
That's what I
But
thought.
listen, I'm happy you can't. But it just was
Very happy you can't, but yeah. I mean, maybe
to learn.
that kind of fear of the water, but yeah, if they're jumping out of the sky, you would think that they would, know that they could jump 40 feet.
Yeah, I mean, they have some hops. I mean,
They
I,
go,
I just never understood that in these movies. It just feels like, okay, I know you want us to stay scared, but there's enough for us to be scared without you like handicapping us by pretending like we don't learn from anything.
Right.
I just, it says the same, some of the same silliness over and over again. I did like the addition of the cat because I thought that the cat was,
Her emotional support. He was
it
so
was her emotional
sweet.
support, but I kind of it added weirdly amount some humanity to the film, if that makes any sense. Like because she was not connected to anybody, right? She didn't care about anybody. She didn't, she made it very clear from day one where her head was. But I felt like the cat kind of kept her somewhat grounded, and it kind of reminded the rest of us, to want to survive. Like she didn't want to survive, but you could tell the cat wanted to survive, and the guy wanted to survive. So I like the introduction of the cat. Normally, animals are introduced just to like cause a scene, and then somebody gets killed. But this cat was kind of like more of a guide cat. If it makes
yeah,
sense.
like a comfort animal. I felt like he
Yeah,
was.
it was her emotional support. And I think she could have
But
survived.
more than that, like
She
I
could have
felt
made
it
it.
was more than that. Like it was her emotional support, but I almost felt like it was trying to inspire her to want to survive. Does that make sense?
Yeah, definitely. Definitely.
Like the cat, like there was a scene where I thought, oh, the cats, because I was thinking, oh, my cats would certainly turn around and come back towards me. That cat was like, I'm getting on that boat. And I thought, well, that's what he was trying to tell. The cat was trying to tell her, listen, I know you feel like it's the end, but a little bit of
Yeah.
try to live. Like the cat wanted to live.
A little fight in you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah, he was trying
Yeah.
to inspire a little fight from her.
And
Yeah.
honestly, she could have lived. I think they almost could have cohabitated with these things because A, they couldn't see. And B, I know you couldn't go back to New York noise, but I think, they probably could have survived. A lot of people probably could have survived with those things there. I mean, there were only, what, 8 of them? I don't know where the rest of them were, but didn't seem like there were a whole lot of them.
See, there were scenes where it seemed like there weren't a lot, but then when they would show them like running down the sides of the buildings, it was 20, 30, 40 of them. So I think
Even
there were
40,
meant to
that's
be
not
a
a
lot.
lot, right? If you
Yeah,
think
I mean,
about it.
I think there were meant to be tons of them. I mean, I don't know if there's going to be a Quiet Place Part 4. I hope
Yeah,
not.
no.
I'm not watching it,
We're not
but
gonna be reviewing that one.
yeah,
Not doing it.
it.
Yeah,
But
no.
I wanted to know like what was their purpose? So
Right,
were they just down here to cause destruction, but of
right,
no real purpose?
right.
What were they eating when they all, well, like a bunch of them
It
found
looked
something
like
and
an
they were eating?
egg. It looked like, honestly, I thought it was one of their eggs.
I thought so too, but where did it come from?
Oh, where did they come from? They just
They
showed up
came
on
from
the
the sky.
buildings.
No, they came from the sky.
Yeah, but
You remember
where
the
in the
opening?
sky? They just jumped out of the cloud?
I mean, if they're aliens, they came from some other galaxy, I would assume, right?
I mean,
There's, I imagine, because again, is like we've seen like War of the World. It was War of the Worlds, where usually there's like a spaceship in the sky, and then
right,
the spaceship opens, and all the
right.
little
I just didn't
come
see
out.
anything. So I figured, I mean, I knew I could put two and two together, but it just seemed
Yeah,
like,
yeah. I guess I just kind of wanted to know, like, why are you here? What's the purpose? Like, surely they're not the aliens that we need to be afraid of because it looked like they were just kind of like weapons of mass destruction for some superior race somewhere else who's sitting there looking and watching because they had no real intelligence to them. So I was like, well, they're definitely
right,
not the actual aliens. They're just the aliens like henchmen. But I wanted to kind of, were they here to pilfer resources? Were they? I just kind of wanted to know. But I was very curious as to what they were eating in that scene because for a
yeah,
moment I said, "Oh, they
yeah,
came here because they're hungry and they need some." But then it looked like he said it wasn't a human body.
right.
I don't know what
Yeah,
that
it just looked
was.
like one of their eggs because it looked like a shell, and there's nothing like that here. And with that gooey stuff on the inside. And what the heck was he chasing the cat for? That cat knows New York better than you, bro. Why are you chasing that cat on a high beam? That's not happening. Either the cat makes it with me or it doesn't. And I'm sure the
I
cat
was
make it back before me.
I was thinking the same thing. I was like, that cat doesn't need you. All you're doing is slowing the cat down
That's
and
it.
messing it up for
Making
them.
noise. That's all you're doing.
Let that cat do its thing. Let that cat survive. Hey, that cat wanted to live. That
Yeah,
cat was like,
the cat
listen,
wanted to live. The cat,
yes.
once the cat had an understanding of what was happening, the cat was on board with living.
Yes.
Definitely
Yes.
understand.
As was
He got the
the
memo.
squirrel. You notice, there was a squirrel in the movie, and there was a bunch of rats, and they were all about the life.
Yep. Yep.
They're like, leave her behind. Let's partner up and we'll get to this boat. Yeah, like they were on board.
Get to the boat.
Get to the boat. I think once the animals understood that the boat was the key to survival, then that's where they were going.
Well,
And
what did you guys? I'm sorry. Go ahead.
no, I'm just like her being in she was a hospice patient, right? Or I
Yeah.
believe, yeah.
Mhm.
So I mean, I can see what she probably was going through, but you would think she was still so young. You would think the fight to people do come out of hospice. It's rare. It's rare, but I do know at least one person who has. And I wish she had more fight in her. I
Well,
want
you're supposed to, and I think that's kind of where I felt like it was kind of shoving it down our throats. Like I could tell in the beginning where the movie was going to go. But did you guys take away that because like she was maybe just bitter at the universe, which I would understand, but bitter at the universe because her dad had died of cancer and now she had it? Is that what your takeaway was? That she had resigned herself to the fact that it had taken her dad's life. She knew, it was going to eventually take her life. And she was just tired. She was just tired of being tired, as they say.
yeah. Yeah, I definitely took that. I did because I remember thinking to myself, I could definitely see myself in her, but that shit that was happening would have gave me the fight. Like I'd be like, I'm just gonna die from this cancer. Now I'm not dying from these aliens too. This is enough for me. So that would have been enough to give me the fight. And I wanted to see a little fight happen in her. Like I love that she aspired to get that pizza. She was getting that pizza. She didn't want to know nothing until she had some pizza and then she was ready to, go peacefully. But I just feel like one thing's already coming at you. I wouldn't be allowing something else to take me as well. I wanted to see more fight from her, but she did a phenomenal job. She really did. She's
Yeah,
such a stunning woman.
yeah, yeah. She definitely has the face for
Yeah.
a very expressive face,
Expressive, emotional.
incredibly
Yeah.
expressive eyes. Yeah, very big eyes.
Right.
Um, I don't know. I mean, the fact that we don't have much to talk about to me tells us about the movie. It just
Yeah,
kind of,
I
I
mean,
don't know, I felt like it was just dull. I personally was falling asleep 40 minutes into it. When I pause a film and I look at the time, that is not a good sign. 40 minutes into it, I paused it because it took 40 minutes to get to the scene that Whaley talked about where they were all in New York. I mean, in the city, and they were kind of, the dust was everywhere. It was 40 minutes into the movie. When I clicked on it, I was like, 40 minutes.
how much more? It's hard when there is not really any like dialect, and I understand that they picked the right person because she is very expressive with her face, the fear, the eyes, the caring, she definitely can speak with her facial expressions, and you would need someone. And I think that's what the other movies lacked. I didn't feel that same sense of getting communication without verbal communication. So she did a great job at that. But I felt like, the silence of it all. It's kind of like, I don't know if you guys ever watched that Bird Box, but it was, everyone loved this. And I was like, you know,
It reminded me of Bird Box.
yeah,
Yep.
yeah. I'm like, I don't,
And not in a good way. Yep.
not in a good way. No, not in a good way. I mean, kudos if you can do a movie that has like really no lines or not many lines and you still like getting across your point. But I mean, I'm falling asleep. Like you really have to be in tune to watching because there's nothing to hear. Sometimes I am watching a movie and I'm doing other things because I'm listening and I'm like, oh, what just happened? There, you can't do that with these. You have
It
to.
reminded me though, that's a good point, but I feel like if you think about Aliens, right? The movie was at its best once all the main characters had died, and it was Sigourney Weaver and the alien.
Yeah.
It's no dialogue, but it was terrifying.
Right. Yeah.
And I felt like it's okay not to have dialogue, but you got to be moving. Like you can't not have dialogue and not move.
And not
Like
more.
you got to be one of the two. You got to start dancing or something. You got to bring us in.
Had a build up though. You know what I mean? Even that
Yeah.
one had build up. There was really no like build up for these. They just pretty much start out that way. So there's no, I don't know. If not for the good acting, it would have felt totally flat.
Yeah,
But
it was a
think,
great movie. Not a, it was a good movie, just not a good horror movie for me.
right. Do
yeah,
you think
definitely.
had she had the fortitude to want to survive, it would have taken the movie in a different direction? I think because she was resolute to die, it kind of made it dreadful. You know what I mean? It kind of made it
Yes.
way to the end. But
Yes.
had she been like, I'm living, I think maybe it would have brought a little more not energy to the movie, I
Yeah,
think.
Yes.
that's
Yes.
that's
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 exactly how I felt.
Yeah, yeah. And
And
I
that's why I
noticed,
kind of I felt like it was resigned from the beginning. Like she
yeah,
made it
yeah,
very clear.
yeah,
yeah,
Aliens are coming down. That is a big deal. Honestly,
yeah,
that's bigger at that moment than your cancer because you are alive. That's bigger moment than your cancer. This is the world we're talking about, not just you.
right.
And I just felt like it was like she just went, I don't even know what's happening. I don't even care. I'm going to get my pizza. And that was kind of a
exactly.
weird reaction.
Yeah,
Listen, we all have, and I'm not judging how anybody would behave. Lord knows I would be, crying like crazy if I had got bad news like that. But it said I wanted her to, even if she didn't want to survive for herself, to survive for humanity, for humanity's sake.
right.
So like it was kind of like, yeah, no. I mean,
Help
she made it clear
humanity.
when the guy kept following her. She was like, "Don't bother following me because I'm not trying to live." You know.
He was like, I
I
don't want
want,
to die. He said, I don't want to die.
Right.
and I was glad that he went ahead and survived. I was hoping too to bring. I love those two together, but I wanted more characters. Like I love what's his name, Jamin Hunsu or whatever his name is.
Oh, I love him.
He's
Yeah,
Me
I
too.
love him. Yes, I was so happy to see him. He was in the Janet Jackson video, Jaman Hunsu,
Jamin
the
Hunsu.
one that
Yes.
out in the beginning is telling her like,
Did you see the way he
Yes.
grabbed her mouth? It was like,
yeah,
I'm like
because
he trying to take her lips off. It's so like he was grabbing a football.
yeah, he was definitely like, shut up and don't bring them monsters in here.
I'm like, this works too,
I
It's
wanted to
That's
technique.
see.
what I want. I want somebody who wants to live,
Yeah,
right? It's like I wanted other characters involved. I kind of wanted to hear their story, right? He was there with his son, so he clearly had motivation to live, even not just for himself, but for his child. And I just wanted to pull in maybe a
You know
teeny
what?
other character. And I do like, we love quiet movies on this channel. We love it when it's not a lot going on. But I felt like could have just added somebody else's story.
You know what? You guys talked about that guy and his son. They were in number two. So, and the son looked the same age. So I now have to, but I know in
Oh, it
number
was so
two,
it
they
might have been
said
just months after.
no, because in number two, they said 474 days later. So it was
Okay, well,
almost
a
like
year, you might
2 years
not.
later.
No,
No, so
472, a year and a half.
no, that's for number two. I don't know how long number one was. I'm assuming maybe number one was a month or 3 months. I don't know. But he was in
Oh, I
number
see what you're saying.
two
What you're saying.
with the same
Okay.
son, same age, but unfortunately he didn't make it in number two.
Oh, okay.
But
I
when I
kind
saw
of
his hand, I was like,
remember.
oh my God, that's the same guy that was in number two.
Um, yeah, so maybe that's how they pulled it back. Okay, so that's why they brought um Jamon. I wish I knew. I wish say it again, Sunchild. Jamin
I,
Hunsu.
yeah, I think it's Jamon Hunsu.
Jamon Hunsu. He was in the Demeter, and he was in what is the most he was in Blood Diamonds, and he was in the one
Oh
about
yeah, he was in Blood Diamond. Yeah, he's
slave.
a good
Think
actor.
of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was. What was the
Mhm.
one where he played he was on the slave ship that had the mutiny.
Hmm.
Oh, that wasn't 12 Years a Slave, was it? That was
No, 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 no.
no, I'm trying to think what that was.
But he's been in some
Yeah.
amazing movies.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
he's been around for like 20 years at least.
Yeah, he's been
Yeah.
around.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I'm gonna have to, of course, Google him because
Yeah,
now I
he
want
was definitely in there.
to Hansu. Okay, here we go. He's such a great actor. His face is, and I tell you what, talk about
Oh,
a person getting better
Amistad.
looking
And
with age.
Amistad.
Huh?
He was in Amistad, right?
Amistad.
Amistad, that's what it is. Yeah, I knew it was
Mhm.
something like that. Yeah, I think that was his first big movie.
Yeah.
That's an
Yeah,
old
Amistad
one.
was excellent, but I would tell you, he has aged
Yeah.
amazingly. He gets better looking with age.
Yes, he does. Indeed. He does look phenomenal. And
Oh yeah, because he's was born in '64. Yeah, he looking good. He
Oh
looking
yeah, he looks good. Yep.
yes, he does.
he's Bennett from Benin.
What's that?
I don't know.
Country Benin.
No, oh, I thought you said
Benin.
he was, I thought
Benin.
you were talking about a
No, I'm
movie.
sorry. It's called I think you say Benin, but he's from Benin.
Viennese or something.
Yeah. So he was in Blood Diamond in 2006.
Yeah, I remember that.
And he's been in a bunch of stuff. But was he not in Amistad? I don't even see. Oh, yeah, he was in. Yeah, yeah. Cinque. Oh, that was 1997. He played Cinque in Amistad. Okay. Yeah, he's a great actor, and I just wish I had seen him a little bit more in this movie. But now I understand why he wasn't in it much. It was just to bridge the gap between this one and number two.
Side note, I met Steven Spielberg when they were filming Amistad.
Really? He seems like such a lovely person.
He was very nice.
Yeah.
Great, but he was very nice.
And he's real little, right?
He's very little. Yeah.
I was behind Woody Allen in line in New York City.
Really? Oh,
He is lit. Oh,
He looked,
holy moly. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm feeling tall. He's got to be 5 foot tall. I don't know how we got off on that tangent anyway.
Oh, I just because I met Steven Spielberg when he was filming Amistad, so I just had to say that.
I just had to throw in about the yeah.
Demond him, but I did not.
yeah.
Demond him.
Well, let's see that. I mean, I guess that's unless there's anything else you guys want to talk about in the movie. I mean, the guy survived with the cat. That poor cat has been dunked in the water several times in the movie, so kudos to the cat.
Kudos to the cat. Yeah, the cat did phenomenal as well.
Yes, that cat who Nico. I actually looked up the cat. That's how bored I was. I looked up the cat. The cat's name in real life is Nico
I
Quash.
did not, deal. You did not look up the cat.
Looks like
I
a
sure
Nico.
did. I was like, the cat's who I'm rooting for at this
Oh
point.
my
I gotta
God.
know his name.
You're so hilarious. You're so funny.
Nico Quash.
Cute.
Yeah, I don't know. I found the movie boring. And to me, the fact that we have nothing to talk about kind of says it was boring.
I know, because we're not really discussing the movie, but
I mean, there wasn't much to it. There was
Yeah.
She came out and she said, I want to die. Okay, aliens have fallen on the planet, but we don't care about the aliens. I just want to die. This guy's following me around. I'm going to try to figure out how to shake him. So I'm going to get him to the water, and then I'm going to go and die. And that's
the
what
end.
the movie was about.
That's it. That's why when I described the movie, I said it was her with the backdrop of the other, because it was no, that was an alien invasion. You saw three aliens. It's like, oh, okay.
And like I said, and the easiest solution, right? I mean, we should be so blessed that if aliens were to come, they would be afraid of water. That's not going to be our reality. Like you said, we've been wrong about everything. They're going to be just fine in water. They're going to swim
Right,
better than we are going to swim.
right, right,
Faster.
right,
They'll be able to fly because
right.
that was the case. All those boats on the New York Harbor, you would just jump in a boat and go out on the water, even if you couldn't swim. There's life jackets in all of those
Listen,
boats. I would throw on a life jacket. I'd be in that Hudson River so fast. You
how
wouldn't even.
many times have we cranked open the fire hydrant and put our butt in there and sprayed over? There would be
Oh,
aliens anywhere near there. You know what I mean? It's just that
yeah.
simple. I would have been living in the city with the fire hydrant going. I mean, that's what I'm saying. You could
I'd be in my
coexist.
apartment complex. They didn't seem to want to go inside most of the places,
You could
other than the
coexist.
ones where there was a glass.
Turn fire, the water sprinklers on. I mean, if they don't like,
Yeah, it's just that
oh, in
simple.
your bathtub, that's it.
Blast the music at Madison Square Garden and bomb it when they all
Year
run.
round.
I mean, it's simple. It's
Yeah,
just
that's
ways. But I'm like, we're not gonna get that lucky. They're not gonna be that dumb when they show up.
yeah, yeah. They're definitely going to be smarter than that.
And if they
Right,
are and people don't survive, then shame on us, right? That's what we get.
right, exactly,
Been in the
exactly.
urge for us is all.
That's
Yeah, I don't
it.
know.
All right, well, I'll go first. Even though it was not a horror film by my definition, or at least not my type of genre for horror, I do think the acting was phenomenal. Um, it probably could have been, a shorter movie, but I think they did a great job. So I'm going to give it, because I think they did a good job. I'll give it a 3.
I was gonna say the same thing. I'm gonna give it a 3 for the movie that it is. I'm gonna give it a 2 for a horror movie, but a 3 for a film in general.
Yeah.
The acting, I mean, and I do love Lupita, so I'm gonna say like 2.7, just because I had a tough time getting through it. I mean, I liked it better than the other ones. It was the best of the, was it a trio? There were two others, right? It was the best of them. So that alone like skyrockets it, which you can imagine if I'm doing 2.7 where those are. But the 2.7 is really, the 2.7 is
I
really
rocketed to a 2.7. Yeah.
skyrocket is really the acting and her and her chemistry with Joshua, right? Is that his name, Joshua? Um,
Eric.
or in real life or in the movie.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. So for that, but it could have, I mean, I don't really know if it could have been any better. You have to be quiet. So I don't know if it could have been any better. I can't think that it could have been. Maybe they should have them annoyed with like certain sounds and not, or attracted to, or not want to kill, like just voices, it's not, I don't know. Something probably could have made it better, but that's the best. And that's the highest of the three. So that's the best I can.
Yeah. All right. And I would say, listen, I would recommend the movie. Just don't go in expecting to see a type of horror film. It was just
Right.
a
Uh-huh.
good movie.
Uh-huh.
So,
It
all
was
right.
as scary as if a tornado was coming and you were running from a tornado. It's
Exactly.
that kind of horror.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. Well, that wraps it up. This is Girls Talk 9.0. I'm Whaley Hollow. That's Nanya and my girl Sunchild. We'll see you next time. Bye,
Yeah.
guys.
Right.
Bye.